I'm Alice Potts and I'm a material researcher who's recently graduated from Royal College of Art. I was born in Leicester and have travelled quite a lot throughout my life, depending on my dad's job. So I have lived in places like Tokyo, Dubai, Italy, and ended up living in London for the last couple of years. I come from a very academic background, so priority to taking fashion design at RCA and both for my BA as well, I took a mixture of biology, chemistry, psychology and mathematics, which has heavily influenced the way I design and interpret the way I work now. But going into a fashion industry where I'd never sort of learned the basic rules of what I was creating allowed me to basically think and take a whole new approach and create my own rules to how I designed and how I created materials which benefited me towards my final collection, Aspire. As a material researcher, I've always been really interested in how I can refascinate people back into reality. I've always loved this idea of working alongside a multidisciplinary approach, from working with scientists to designers, to how these can create a whole new alternate pathways. What I've always really loved about fashion, as well as the introduction of biology, is working with the body. For me, fashion is like a second skin, and it's the closest thing that we wear to our body, making it a whole new realm that we have never thought of how our bodies can then interpret the way we design, biologically, not just through influence of ready-made, man-made materials. So from looking at this as a whole perspective, I've been looking at secretions of a waste material such as sweat, blood and urine, and looking at the chemical compounds of what these are built up of, and trying to develop a process that allows me to create materials out of this. For me, the most interesting was sweat, because obviously sweat is something that we all as individuals understand, and it's something that a process that our body does naturally. And what is such a beautiful thing is that sweat is completely individual to the person. It completely adapts over time based to lifestyle, gender, health, but it's a complete encapsulation of that moment in your life of how your body is functioning. I looked at how I could then create crystal structures from people's sweat. I spent hours going to the gym and collecting my own personal sweat, but as well working alongside other people to collect sweat in not just a natural form, but as well collecting it within materials. What I've learned over the period of time is that we have over 250,000 sweat glands just in our feet alone. So by getting these objects which people have sweated in, allows the sweat to naturally embed into the fibres. This then creates a base structure for all my pieces, for example the ballet shoes. By allowing the ballet dancers to wear these ballet shoes over a period of time, allowed them to sweat into the material, making the material absorb their sweat into the fibres. Then by collecting their sweat separately and processing it, and then allowing it to grow back onto the shoes, allowed it to grow not only on top of the ballet shoes but through the material, meaning that the molecules from within the shoes and the separate molecules would then latch on and then grow throughout. The red cabbage could allow me to identify automatic response of that person. So by dyeing everything in a base colour of the red cabbage, once the sweat was poured on, it was another visualisation of that person at that moment. So the pieces, for example, in the exhibition show different people's pH levels, from the red shoes, which are more acidic, to the green, which are more neutral, to the purple, which are more alkaline, to show just the vast difference of how the sweat can be portrayed in different ways. Each crystal was a complete encapsulation of that person, and each one had its own identity, and it took away from the labels that everyone had sort of been given as a person, and then showed that everyone was still unique. And the whole exhibition is a different type of process from each person, so each one is at a different point of that person's life. I have currently just moved to Athens, where I'm going to be starting a year-long residency with the Onasi's fellowship programme. What I find the most amazing part of all of this is that I will get supported without the restrictions of industry, allowing me the time I really need to develop my work without being confined by fashion's mass production or feeling like I have to make a feasible object at this certain point of time. Having already spent a month here in Athens, it is really giving me the time to explore the different neighbourhoods, but also the different communities that live side by side here. For me, the most important thing is not being a tourist here, but really learning how to become an Athenian. I've spent time learning about where my butchers will be, where my groceries will be bought from, my hardware store as well as my gym, to really feel that I am part of this journey. I've always really wanted to re-engage people back into reality and expand the mind into a multidisciplinary approach, not feeling restricted by just one area, but the vast expansion of areas that are still yet to be explored. I want to show people that our bodies are still our greatest technologies.